The Friday Rugby Preview with Stuart Cameron.
Hello and welcome to the Friday Rugby Preview, and as usual I'm joined by Purdie, and we'll start with a brief recap of last weekend. In the Premiership, Hawick consolidated their position at the top of the table with a win at Glasgow Hawks. Kelso demolished Musselburgh at Point de Park. A brave Selkirk effort just fell short at Currie, but still no joy for Jed Forest as they were defeated at Edinburgh Accies. In National 1, another couple of wins for Gala and Melrose against Watsonians and GHA respectively, while in National 2 there was a win for Peebles at home to Kirkcaldy, but Berwick went down at Gordonians and remain winless. In the East Leagues, a win for Langham at Royal High in Division 1, defeats for Hoyt Quinns, Hoyt Lindeen and Duns in Division 2, and a shock loss for previously unbeaten Earlston at lowly Lismore in the 3rd Division, and no joy for Gala YM either at home to Trinity Aki. So Robin, Hoyk march on with a very professional display last weekend at Balgrey.
That's a great way to describe it, really, a professional display. I think I said in commentary, Stuart, that there would have been other teams towards the top of the league that would have had one eye on that game. Balgray's a pretty tough place to go, and Hawks are pretty strong at home, and they just had one eye on that, thinking, yeah, Hoyt just might come unstuck there. Not a bit of it. Almost from the get-go, they were hugely efficient. They were strong in attack, they were strong defensively, and they just looked like an exceptionally well-drilled outfit.
They played like champions.
They played exactly like champions, couldn't put it better.
Well, Kelso, of course, they had a dream start, 38-0 at half-time against one of Premiership's most prolific try-scoring teams in Musselburgh. I'm going to play you a clip from the joint head coach of Kelso, Kevin Utterson, who didn't mince his words after the win.
6 tries in the first half. I didn't probably ken the last time that happened in Kelso, but you can Musselburgh obviously the big win through at Marl last week, so I think that might have maybe worked in our favour. They were coming down here with a spring in their step. Well, they're going back up the road with their tails between their legs.
Do you think there's a feeling that they underestimated you today?
Without a doubt. They come down here, they swanned off the bus, strutting about. Big men here going about with coffees in their hands. Seen that happening, said to the boys, look, this is what's happening outside, and they just got on it for the start when we all got together, and we just stressed to go at them and go at them and go at them, and well, it proved 6 tries first half. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Yeah, no can we. That was interesting, wasn't it? Kevin Utterson, what he had to say there, obviously buoyant after a big win, but also noticing a few mannerisms with Musselburgh coming off the bus.
Yes, I heard that live on the drive home, and I made a mental note of it to speak about it on the preview show tonight. Actually, I thought that was absolutely tremendous. Now, whether Musselburgh were or weren't swanning around or whatever he said, drinking coffee, whether or not he thought they were or not, whatever happened, he seen it and he used it. He thought, I can get an extra few % or whatever out of my players here, and he went back in and he told them, and look what happened. And I think that's great management.
We couldn't believe it. Could be 38-0 at half time against a team, as you say, that were really flying high.
Oh yeah, I fancied Kelso at home as you do most of the time, but I didn't see that result coming against Musselburgh, of all people who we've spoken so much about this season, and I certainly didn't see that half-time deficit, that's for sure.
Well, Selkirk not far off from Currie, but we're guilty again of that slow start, 19-0 down. You just can't give teams that kind of start.
No, you can't, and Currie were always going to win from that point onwards, but really brave effort by Selkirk by the sounds of things, and to come away with 2 points, I don't think that many people would have expected 2 points, and that just puts a wee bit more daylight between them and Jed at the bottom. I think that's a good effort by Selkirk.
In National 1, Gala and Melrose, that's back-to-back wins for them now, so they're getting back on the bus a bit now, aren't they?
Yeah, both good wins as well, reasonably comfortable wins on the face of it, and yeah, both starting to climb the table, getting back to where they both will feel they should be. They've had indifferent starts, if you like, to the season, both clubs for different reasons, but yeah, they're both climbing the table now. Neither are going to chase down air at the top, let's be honest about it, but they're certainly getting back to where they both want and need to be.
So 2 surprises for me last weekend. There was obviously Kelso 38-0 at half-time against Musselburgh. The other one was Earlston losing at Lismore, who had only previously won 1 game in East League 3, and that burst the bubble for Earlston because their unbeaten record is gone.
Yeah, sad to see, and to nil as well, which is very bizarre. Was it a weekend team? Was it one of those situations I mentioned last week where you turn up at that level of rugby to the home team and they've got ringers, or what's happened there, because we did not see that coming.
No, we didn't, and we'll have the answer for you by Cammy Hill a little bit later on in the programme. And so to tomorrow's games involving Borde's team, starting in the Premiership. The big game, of course, Hawick against Mar, top of the table clash. Hawick unbeaten at home since October 2019, and here's head coach Matty Douglas.
It's a big week for us as a squad, heading into what is a top of the table clash, a point separating us and Mar at the top, and both teams are in a good bit of form at the minute, so looking at it, it looks like it'll be a feisty encounter. We're coming off the back of a really positive result at Hawks last week. I thought in terms of complete performance it was up there with one of the best this season. I just thought in terms of the way we dealt with pressure and the way we stamped our authority on the game, I thought we had in attack we were quick and effective, getting to an edge, and then looking to try and punch holes through the middle, and again a lot of players really putting in some top class performances, and we're starting to get a bit of consistency in selection, which always helps. But on the flip side, we've got a lot of players who are still knocking at the door, and this week at training there's just been that kind of added extra energy in there. Probably looking at it, there's a bit of a top of the table clash, but also a little bit in the back of our minds how we performed at Mar earlier in the season. We've touched a little bit on that there's a little bit unfinished business there. Look, we've worked extremely hard this week, and Mar are a quality side. We've got a lot of respect for them, and we've had a lot of top class battles in the past couple of seasons. So look, we know how good they are. We know what they're like in terms of their attack and their defence, and they're a tough side to break down. So we're not taking it lightly. As I said, we've had that extra edge at training this week, and we're just looking to implement our game plan and see where we're at. We've got a tough couple of fixtures coming up in the next couple of weeks, so I think this Saturday is probably a marker for us in terms of where we really kick on this season. So team news, Morgan Tate will miss out this week due to a fractured finger that he done up at Hawks, but apart from that we've got a full squad to pick from, so it looks like it'll be a tasty encounter, and we'll certainly be looking forward to welcoming Mar to Mansfield at the weekend.
Well, Captain Sean Muir told you last week, of course, on air that they're determined to reverse that result when Mar beat them early in the season. Let's recap what he said.
If I'm honest, I think it'll be a different game against Mar. I think it'll be very physical. We'll probably get into our shape and our forwards will have a lot more ball, but without beating about the bush, we've got a score to settle. If I'm honest, embarrassed us up there. We were second best in every facet of the game, so we'll have a big week this week, and we'll look to right some wrongs.
And we all remember the backlash a week after that game when they put 61 points on Kelso. They'll certainly want to avoid a double defeat against Mar in one season.
They certainly will. As we said before, though, they were really impressive last week at Glasgow Hawks, but we've seen Mar be really impressive this season as well. They're second in the table for a reason, and they're really impressive when we were down at their home game against Currie. Just thought last week Hawick's, what you'd class as their real top players, they all stepped up. Sean Muir himself, Kirk Ford was exceptional, Jay Linton, Callum Rennick, just to name but four. But yeah, it's going to be a great game. Obviously the Bicker staffs from Mar, the brothers, are both in great form. I think they're both equal on 7 or 8 tries or something like that. And yeah, Mar have got some top operators as well, so yeah, expecting it to be a really good game. I believe the weather's to be pretty good on Saturday. Game like this, it could come down to yellow red cards.
Yeah, it absolutely could. And Sam Matthews mentioned it last week as well. Ronan McKean on the bench.
Yeah.
Morgan Tate obviously is out through an injury, but so you'd expect Ronan McKean to come in now. But leaving the quality like that on the bench, a great luxury for the team. Yeah,
we say it every week, broken record. Here we go again. But yeah, Tate's out, I believe, and that the logical thing would be for McKean to come in. What a man to bring off the bench. And again, we spoke last week in commentary about some of the guys coming off the bench, Fraser Wilson, Tom Hope, etc. Ross Graham, so yeah, Hawick squad really, really strong. But Mar have got a strong squad too. Well, if you can't make it to Mansfield Park tomorrow, tune in for live commentary with Robin and also Stuart Johnson making his rugby radio debut. That game kicking off at 3 o'clock. But we shall be on air at 1:30 with the show coming from Inverleith tomorrow, as Berwick have a crucial 2 o'clock game against Stuart's Melville at the bottom end of the table in National 2. We'll be bringing you news of that and all the other 2 p.m. kickoffs before we head
head over to Hawick. But Kelso last week stunned Musselburgh. They're now 25 points in the plus column, so a great start to the season for them. And tomorrow they visit Heriots Blues. Director of Rugby at Kelso is Neil Hinnigan.
The challenge now for the players is to back up a good performance with another good performance. I think this is an easy trap to fall into. I think Musselburgh themselves probably did that. They had a run of results. They a great result with Marn, and they came down to Poinder and just caught a little bit cold with what we came out with, and the intensity wise, and we really took it to them, and things didn't go their way, and it was hard for them to adjust. And I think, if we're not careful, we could go to Goldenacre and find ourselves in the same position, because Heriots are a free-flowing team that if you're not defending well, they will score lots of tries. And we're just going to have to ask the players to really front up big time again. And they've had a lot of pats on the back from everyone for last week, but they've really got to be switched on again to go to Goldenacre. So we're certainly not taking it lightly or thinking we've cracked the case, because we've got heaps and heaps of improvement to do yet to get to where we want to be. And selection-wise, first league match since COVID that Bruce McNeil won't in the team. He's got a little bit of a knock, but he also feels in himself that it's he can give others a chance to play, that they're playing well, and so he drops out the side. Apart from that, there's no changes. It's a pretty settled team, so we'll see how we go. And obviously without Bruce, it'll be another challenge, but I don't think we've any worries with the squad we've got and how the senior players in the team and indeed the youngsters are playing. There was maybe a time where you would have been thinking it was a task leaving Bruce out, but I think at this moment in time it'll be a good thing for them as well. There's a positive to it. So let's see how we go up there on Saturday, and also our Kelso Sharks are up there as well. We have a friendly against Heriots 2A. So it's great to have two teams up there on Saturday, plenty of rugby to be played.
And I think the first thing he's got to do is make sure they don't swan off the bus and drink coffee.
Yeah, tea perhaps.
Don't give Heriots Blues anything.
Yeah, no, that would be quite ironic if they all turned up off the bus with coffee in their hands. But no, I can't see that. They appear to be too well drilled to fall into that trap. But this has got the makings of a really, really good game. Kelso could squeak this. They really could. I wouldn't be surprised based on last results, based just how they've been doing in general. You mentioned about Bruce McNeil. That to me sounds a wee bit like a blow, I have to be honest. If you take him out of any Premiership team, that's going to be a blow. There's no two ways about it. But they've got good players in there. Glendinning could come back in and play in the back row. He is absolutely no mug. So got a bit of strength now, Kelso.
Interesting as well, because Heriots Blues have played their last 5 games away from home, only won once. They played 3 at home, won them all. So they're very happy it's that happy place, isn't it? Really?
Yeah,
Goldenacre.
It would appear to be, but I do think Kelso can go up there and cause them problems. It'll be interesting to see almost how Heriots adapt, if you like, as daft as that sounds, to being back after all these trips on the road. I'm sure there'll be home comforts to an extent, but yeah, really good looking fixture this one.
Sam Matthews will be there for us at Goldenacre reporting. That's a 2 o'clock kick-off, the only Premiership game that kicks off at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Selkirk, they're at home to Glasgow Hawks, 9th against 8th here, but home advantage. And here's the Sooters coach, Sesh Henderson.
We really played some really good attacking rugby last week against Currie. Really pleasing the type of scores we scored. Really good team tries, multi-phase attack. And we caused Currie a lot of problems. The main problem for us was that we gave them 19 points at a start, which was really difficult to come back from. The pleasing point for me is that the attitude never dropped after that. 15 minutes, 19 points down. We came back, scored a couple of tries, then really got ourselves back in the game. Second half they scored another couple. Then we came back, we scored 3 excellent tries, which is really positive to see, because that's what we've been working towards. Massive home game for us. We got Glasgow Hawks, a big opportunity here. If we get our defensive systems right, we put in some big hits against Currie. We need to do that against Hawks, because we've got a massive set of forwards. A couple of good centres that run really hard, and a fast back 3. But if we get a defensive line right and we get in the right areas and attack as we did against Currie, look, we've got an opportunity to get another win. Saturday is a big game for us. We know that, and we're really excited for it. And we hope to go out there and put a performance in, get a win, really deserve a win. in. They've put in some big performance the last 2-3 weeks. Things haven't went for us, but the boys are desperate to get there and get a home win this Saturday.
Yeah, it's another interesting game, this one, that could really go any way, but Sesh mentioned it there were 19 points down after 15 minutes, and you mentioned it when we were at Glasgow last week. You mentioned, as we were reading the scores, 19-0 down, and I remember thinking this could be an absolute cricket score. So all credit to Selkirk for coming back and taking 2 points from that game. But yeah, this is a tough one to call, Stuart. Glasgow Hawks have got some decent players. Sesh mentioned there, their centres. Yes, Selkirk will be identifying this, absolutely they will, but I think Hawks will be identifying it as well. When I spoke to Hawks captain Stephen Leckie after the game last week, he said that if they've got any designs on getting top 4, then this is a game they need to take minimally 4 points from. They
do have that game in hand, of course, against Currie. Obviously a tricky one.
Yeah.
But Wayne Burrows, who came off the bench and was pretty effective, I thought, when he came on, I think he's going to be starting against them, so that could be one to watch there.
Yeah, big boot on him and a big unit as well, big powerful man. So
I remember watching him at Cartha Queen's Park many years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say ex-Cartha, and he's appeared at Hawks this season, and he looked a decent player when he came on.
Well, on to Jed Forrest, and David Grieve has been talking to us ahead of his side's home game against Currie tomorrow.
On Saturday, we went up to play Edinburgh Accies. In the scoreline, it looks like we got pretty hammered and it was one-sided, but to be fair, first half, I thought we were really good. We played some of our best rugby this season. Our structure was good in attack, defended well, and to be fair, I can't remember them kind of breaking us down. Most of the points came from in the first half. It was a driving maul, and to be fair, they've got possibly the best maul in the league for the lineouts. But second half, we kind of lost our energy. We looked heavy-legged. Everything we were doing good in the first half, we just couldn't produce it in the second half. We just kind of completely run out of steam. But again, we can't criticise our players. They're giving everything. The one concern I do have is we could only take 18 boys on Saturday. It's just not good enough, considering we were the only game in Jed that weekend. Our seconds didn't have a game, and we could only take 18 up. Kind of felt a bit let down with some of the players in the town. There's injuries and there's 2 or 3 illness as well, but as coaches, we need more. We need more commitment for players. We need players to come down and just help us out. This week we've got Currie, and again, we're getting very, very close to must-win situations here. We've got two home games in a row now, and we need points with these both games.
Well, it's a bold statement from David there, but sometimes things just have to be said, and that's a call to arms, if ever we heard one.
Absolutely, and all credit to him as well. All credit to his honesty. He sounds exasperated, and if that's the case, then rightly so. I mean, I've never seen that at Premiership level before, a squad minus 2 players, and I have to be honest and say that's far from ideal. The boys are there, the coaches, they're battling on. There's still games they can win, and there'll be games that they're identifying, but it does look now, especially with Selkirk getting those 2 points last week, it does look now that Jed's race is run as a Premiership team.
In National 1, Gala travelling to Glasgow to face GHA. Gala beat them at Netherdale, so looking for a double there. Here's Director of Rugby at Gala, it's Ewan Swinton.
All looking good, and we are heading up to GHA on Saturday. That will be a really challenging game. GHA have lost a couple in the spin, but they are a strong outfit, and I think it's quite normal that the Glasgow sides perform that wee bit better through in their own territories. So we are expecting a really hard game, and to an extent it's almost a free hit, in the sense that many will be expecting us to struggle up there, but that's certainly not how we'll see it. We're confident. The shape is really coming into the game. We are due an away win. There's no reason why it shouldn't come on Saturday. We have the defence, so the attacking side of things starting to come through really well, and the defensive aspects of the game, the way that we're covering the pitch, the way that we're protecting our territory is fantastically improved. We'll expect to front up in the forwards, so it'll be tough through at GHA, but I think that there's a more than fair chance that we'll come out of the game with something. I would hope for a win. I won't be surprised if we win, but what we'll look for is an ever-improving performance and take things forward into the second half of the season really strongly.
They haven't run away yet, and this could well be a good chance for them to do that. But Braidholm, as we know, not an easy place to get a result, and of course they're the only team that have beaten Highland.
Yeah, and they're the team that got relegated last season from the Premiership, so they have got a wee bit of pedigree about them, let's not forget. But yeah, I think the improving Gala of recent weeks will absolutely be travelling there and looking to chalk up a victory, and a victory would potentially see them again leapfrog this week's opposition as they've done in previous weeks. So yeah, a lot to play for, but Gala improving week on week, and they'll be looking for a strong second half of the season.
Also in National 1, Melrose have won their last 2 games. They'll be confident of repeating that win against GHK from earlier in the season. They put 68 points on GHK at the Greenyards, and GHK now at the bottom of the table. Here's Black and Yellow's coach, Ian Chisholm.
It felt like we just really clicked against GHA last weekend. The way that we approached the game and the way that we stuck to task, and just the tactical discipline that the boys showed right the way throughout the game was bloody good. And up there, first time round, we got turned upside down at scrum time. So since then, it's been a huge focus for us, and we've put a lot of time into it, and we sacrifice other areas of the game to allow the forwards to go and work at that. And look, we've had John DL down, we've got Nick Bevan down, and for me, like the experience of these guys and the little bits of fault correction that they're bringing in all the time it's priceless for us, and our guys are really, they're really engaged when people like this are down as well. But look, I'm just so proud of the performance and so proud of the attitude, and as you'd expect, the whole energy around the club as a whole was brilliant after the game. And it's probably the first time that it's looked like a team that's been coached by Ian Chisholm, if that makes sense. Going into this weekend, we travel away to GHK. We know that they're at the bottom of the table, but traditionally over the last few years, Melrose have had a really good performance followed up by a really poor performance, and while there was a lot of focus and a lot of praise around our attack at the weekend, I think it was our defence and our ability to manage our half that allowed us to go away and do that. So those are the key messages going into this week, is around continue to manage our half, continue to make good decisions, continue to transfer pressure to them, and when we get an opportunity, let's make sure we take them. And we're not taking anything for granted. GHK are a different team at home than they are away. They seem to pick up results and pick up points when they're at home too. So we're going up there looking to just validate the points and validate last week's performance by getting better at the things that we did really well and seeing how many moments we can stay in system to allow us to really come to life.
Well, I think you did very well to not get too confused with GHA last week and GHK this week. GHK, of course, not having a great season, but no complacency with Melrose, and getting in the likes of Nick Bevan to do a little pep talk to the forwards. It can only have a good effect.
Yeah, and John DL as well. They're hugely experienced, high-level rugby players, so those kind of voices can never go amiss. Melrose, great win for them last week. Ian's right, I thought they looked, from what I've seen of it, they looked a lot more like themselves. For me, it was their strongest team this season on paper, but he's absolutely right again in that this is the type of game now, GHK away, they need to go there and win, and they probably need to win with 5 points as well, as much as send a statement that they're back as the consistent Melrose that they were in the past. GHK have shipped 453 points this season. The points difference is minus 272. I will be astonished if Melrose don't go there on Saturday and pick up 5 points.
Well, in National 2, Peebles are still pushing for promotion, but they'll be tested to the limit in Aberdeen. They're facing Gordonians. Here's Peebles head coach Graham Patterson.
Gordonians have done really well. I mean, they came down to us, first game of the season, good game of rugby, and we denied him anything from the game, which is great. But since then, they've really put some good performances in, got some good results, and are up there challenging alongside ourselves, Falkirk and Lasswade and Newton Stuart. So we know that this is going to be a tough game. Going up to Aberdeen is always tough. The journey, it's always talked about. It's no excuse for me. The players need to just deal with it and then mentally get ready for that game as soon as they arrive. We know that there's going to be fewer chances probably than we had against Kirkcaldy, so we need to be really clinical in terms of putting these chances away, which we were pretty good on Saturday, but we still left 2 or 3 tries out there, so it's about turning that 2 or 3 into maybe just 1. I anticipate it being a very, very close game. Davy Collins has been instrumental in sort of reigniting our counter-attack from deep. He's really put himself forward in these last couple of games that he's played in. We're not going to be changing the squad much at all, and in fact the only change is an enforced one with Willie Aitken being unavailable, so Neil Hogarth comes back in, and being a previous captain from the previous year, he brings that experience as well and leadership skills, which will help in these difficult situations and difficult games that we're going to face, especially this Saturday up at Gordonians.
Graham comes over as a very shrewd coach, doesn't he? A great tactician and someone who loves the analysis.
You can hear the enthusiasm for rugby in general, I would say, coming through in Graham's voice, which is great. I think this game's got a really good look about it, as has the other game involving a Border team in this particular division tomorrow. But yeah, Gordonians v Peebles, there's not much between the teams. Peebles got a game in hand over Lass Wade above them, and if Peebles can win this, they are really, really in the shake-up.
Yeah, getting a double over Gordonians would be quite something, that's for sure. Also in National 2, Berwick go to Inverleith to take on Stuart's Melville, who rose from the bottom of the table last week after beating Aberdeen Grammar in another basement battle. The two drew at Scremerston, so what is Berwick forwards coach Paul Pringle expecting at Inverleith?
We're not expecting an easy fixture. We should be largely unchanged from last week, albeit we probably have 4 or 5 guys who are getting assessments on injuries and knocks after what was that really physical game. However, certainly first indications are that they should all be available. So all in all, we want to go up there, we want to play rugby, we want the guys to enjoy what they're doing. We need to always bear in mind it's an amateur sport. The guys and coaches give up a lot of time and obviously the officials on a match day, all that type of thing, and really you shouldn't be doing that if you're not enjoying it. So keep emphasising that to the guys, that albeit there is a bit of pressure there, and we are kind of fighting to get that first win, but ultimately we want to see them playing with a smile on their faces and playing the type of rugby that they actually enjoy, and not being limited by the pressure of league positions. So fairly positive in terms of where we are, just really looking forward to hopefully all these things coming together on a Saturday and getting the W that the guys deserve for all the work that they're putting in.
Well, this is certainly a crunch game. Berwick have come close this season in many matches, but now they've got to start turning those close games into victories.
Yeah, they have as the weeks go by, you're absolutely right. Is it too early in the season to call this an 8-pointer? It's going to be a real ding-dong between two teams that will no doubt have a bit of desperation about them. Been a tough season, it's not been cricket scores every week, It's not like some other teams that are at the bottom of the table and it looks a lost cause. Stu Mel, we've seen them early in the season against Peebles. Decent enough outfit, got a good player. Captain Jamie Sword's a good player, so he's one to watch out for from a Berwick perspective. But yeah, Berwick can win this, but it's going to be a good game.
East League having a bit of a break tomorrow, but Earlston are taking the opportunity to put themselves against Duns, a league above them, in a friendly match. But what happened to them last weekend? That's the big question. They were nilled by lowly Lismore, who had previously won just one game in East 3, and 19-0 is how it ended. Let's hear from Earlston chief Cammy Hill.
Lismore were a totally different team to what we'd faced at the start of the season and effectively caused us problems all day, especially in the forwards, where by far this is the hardest test we've come up against. Obviously we played Duns and Lindeen at the start of the season and your Trinity Ackies, Edinburgh Northern, but this was a totally different pack we came up against. They dominated in all areas. Scrum, breakdown, line-outs, they were just really good all over. Their defence was excellent. We didn't really get many opportunities to get points on the board, so it says a lot for them, as we've been pretty free scoring all season, so to not even get a sniff at some points was really disappointing, but all credit to them. Overall, we were beaten by a very good side who I would imagine will have some more upsets before the season is over, and that's us hoping as well. But the league's still within sight. It's just how we react to this first defeat, and we'll see how we'll come out the other end, and hopefully at the end of the season it won't be too much of a burden, this loss. This week we travel to face Duns on Friday night for a friendly, which is going to be a good test of character as well, playing a team in the league above, especially after last weekend's poor result. Squad wise, we're giving a few lads a rest, so there'll be a few changes this week and some positional changes as well, just to try a few things up and give some lads a chance to get some game time. But hopefully we can build on this week and look forward to Inverleith a week on Saturday.
Fair play to Earlston, that they could have taken this week off, as could Duns, but they've got a friendly in there, and that gives them a good chance to right a few wrongs and get back on the horse before the serious stuff starts again.
But it makes East League 3 even more exciting now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I sort of said a couple of weeks ago it looks like Earlston's to lose now, but Trinity Ackies have all, they've been there or thereabouts, but to the naked eye they've almost come up on the rails now, and they are right in the hunt.
Well, we're live on Rugby Radio from 1:30 tomorrow, coming to you from Inverleith, so keeping an eye on Stu Melvey Berwick. But then at 3 o'clock, bringing you full commentary of Hawick versus Mar. We're going to have TV highlights of that game on Sunday for you on Borders Rugby TV. And don't forget to check out our new Scottish Club Rugby podcast, episode 11 now available, taking a comprehensive look at the club scene in Scotland. You can listen to that via YouTube or wherever you download your podcasts from. There's the new website as well at rugbyradio.co.uk, and of course our main site for everything to do with Borders Rugby at bordersrugby.net. Do check it all out, and we'll see you on Rugby Radio tomorrow at 1:30. But for now, from Robin and me, bye-bye.